You know, I've been wanting to do this for a long time, like a really long time. And by this, I mean a show. I wanted to do a podcast, like a web show, just like something. I want to do something creative, something fun, something that I like to do, which is I like to make people laugh. I like to entertain people, right? And that's a lot of what I'm going to try to do here. Might not be successful, but hey, this certainly isn't going to be something self-help or anything like that, but we'll get into that in a minute. And the whole reason this is being made right now, and why I'm like, I need to start now, because if I don't start now, I'm never going to start, right? It's that whole do or die feeling you have to do, or you kind of get. You know, I'm sure some of you have experienced it before. And what that is just creating content in general. And when I say creating content, I mean doing stuff I want to do, right? There's all these other forms of media that we're constantly bombarded and surrounded with. And it hit me, like, because I'm sitting here just a little while ago. I was watching Impractical Jokers on TV, and I was planning on doing this tonight, right? I was planning on sitting down and doing it immediately. Well, I have TV on in the background just because I like to do that while I'm, cleaning things up and getting things ready. And, an episode finished, right? And then another episode finished. And then a third one started, and it hit me like 5 minutes into it. And I was like, I'm doing exactly what I've been doing for the past 2 years in terms of having inspiration to do stuff. And the drive just immediately, it vanishes out of nowhere. What happened, right? And that's what I'm going to talk to you about tonight. So I'm going to talk to you, and I'm going to tell you how YouTube and other mostly YouTube's the easiest one to relate it to. And that's why I'm going to kind of focus on the YouTube stuff. But Netflix, YouTube, TV in general, all of these other streaming services, right, all encourage you to constantly consume them and keep consuming them. And it's ruining your own creativity, okay? I'm here to tell you what you can do to help that, and what signs you can look out for tonight on the show, podcast, whatever I want it to be, right? It's my stuff, it's my thing, and obviously I'm calling it a podcast, so hey, it's a podcast. My name's Chris, and well, this is just another Neckbeard's podcast. Welcome to the relaunch, folks. Wrong button. All right. Well, everybody, welcome to the first official show that I'm doing tonight, and it's kind of bizarre. I kind of threw that art together at the last minute. It's not very good, but I'm not an artist by any means. I tried real hard. I ended up kind of making it look like that. You ever seen SpongeBob with the handsome Squidward? And that's what I always compare it to. It looks bad, but it has a soft spot in my heart because it just makes me laugh every time I see it now. Anyway, why am I already bragging about this stuff? I wanted to talk to you about that. So I'm not going to do the whole, first episode meme where everybody goes over the show and then that's it and they move on. No, I'm going to give you content right away. I am going to pepper in a little bit about what the show is and kind of like what I'm all about. But I'll do that later because I want to get you guys going. I want to give you the bread and butter right away, right? And then if you want to stick around, you like me, hey, you can learn more about me. So, oh man, I'm sorry. I'm talking fast, so I'm exhaling a lot more and losing a lot of breath real fast. So I need to work on my breathing. Obviously, I'm not a professional at this, even though I have a lot of nice things. Nice things doesn't equate to skill, and skill is going to have to come as we go. But like I said, first episode, we'll work on it. Obviously, my setup's not entirely ready. There's a lot more stuff I want to do, especially with the monitor here. There's going to be more on the wall. I'm probably not going to have the green screen up for a lot of these. I'm probably going to put it back down. There's a lot of other stuff I plan on doing with it, and that'll come as time comes. And again, I already complained about the first podcast stuff where people just explain things that they want to do, and I'm already doing that. I will do it later. I know. Well, let's get into what I wanted to talk about. So let's talk about what signs you can tell if you have inspiration like me, or if you're inspired to create stuff. What signs to look out for to know that like you're consuming way too much content. You need to either back off, or you need to find a way that works for you. Okay. So the big sign for me was basically just, sorry, I had to, again, working on my breathing patterns. Okay. So the big sign for me that I knew that something was wrong was just a little bit ago when I was just watching it, and I was like, what the heck is wrong with me? I was getting ready to plan something, and I was planning to do something, and then all of a sudden it was getting pushed back just because I was watching TV, right? And not a lot of it has to do with ads, right? Obviously, a one-off show like Impractical Jokers, you can kind of just watch one and move on to that. But a lot of other stuff that's made, like an ongoing series and stuff like that, things that you see on Netflix and YouTube all the time, just, here's episode 1, here's episode 2, here's episode 3, in sequential order. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, one right after the other. It encourages because, well, first of all, a lot of that stuff auto plays into the next episode, so you're already there, like watching it, and you're like, well, I want to see it through, right? Because there is a sense of accomplishment or a sense of satisfaction that you get from entirely completing a series, right? Let's take easiest example, Game of Thrones, right? Game of Thrones is the most relevant series I could bring up right now. If it was like 3 years ago, I would say The Walking Dead, but nobody watches that show anymore. I'm sure there are people that still like the show, but a lot of people have moved on from Walking Dead to Game of Thrones, so that's why I say Game of Thrones. But say you started off at season 1 of Game of Thrones, right? That's a very popular show, right? You're going to pretty much finish season 1. Well, guess what? Season 1's not all that there is, right? There's season 2 all the way up to 8 now, and everything leaves it off at a point where you're like, oh, I'm so excited for the next episode. I'm so excited for the next episode. Even at the end of the season, I am so excited for the next season, right? Everybody, it's like, it's designed to encourage you to keep watching, keep consuming, right? And it's hard for me to like really formulate this because I'm trying to even understand it myself. It's such a bizarre phenomenon that's so even still, like, I think a lot of people that do create content now have realized that. They realize that they can't constantly watch stuff like this all the time because it actively discourages them from creating their own stuff because you're taking that time to watch that stuff, right? So say I was to watch we'll go back to YouTube. Say I was to watch a Let's Play, right? Say I looked up Paper Mario. First game to pop up in my head because it's one of my favorite games, right? So say I were to look up Paper Mario, look up a Let's Play of it. First of all, it's time to stop Let's Plays. Like, people still make Let's Plays on YouTube. It's time to stop that. They're not good anymore, okay? Nobody, I mean, there's a big market for it, right? Game Grumps is still a thing. Oni Plays is still a big one. Markiplier, PewDiePie. Even PewDiePie's kind of moved on from Let's Plays. He doesn't do that. He plays games still sometimes, but he does a lot of different content now. He's kind of moved on. But a lot of these other guys, they still make that same, Let's Play garbage where it's 10 minutes. Or actually, the real YouTube meme is 10 minutes and 1 second. You get that extra little ad revenue. Oh my God, I hate ads on YouTube, by the way. I might talk about that. I might talk about the ads on YouTube, but it, like, you go up, and a lot of that stuff is kind of finished now. There's entire series of that stuff. Not a lot of that stuff is, I mean, unless it's a brand new game, it's not really ongoing. So it's not like, oh, I got to wait, it's not a current season of Game of Thrones. I got to wait a week for the next episode, right? No, it's almost ready the next day, or sometimes people drop multiple episodes a day on YouTube, because that's how fast people create the content and push it out. But you got to realize, if you're creating content that fast, you're probably not investing a lot of your time into making it better, right? So that's why you probably should stop Let's Plays and kind of focus more on, like, what can I do that is a one-off? I'm sorry, I'm breathing really heavily right now because I'm talking so fast that I really need to slow myself down and kind of slow my pace down. But again, first episode jitters, getting it out of the way. My heart rate will slow down. You got to get over that nervous stuff right away. The stage fright will go away with time, right? And anyway, going back to what I was saying, that content just encourages you to keep watching it, right? You'll go from episode 1 all the way through, and then soon, before you even know it, you're 30 episodes in, 30, possibly even 30 hours into watching somebody else play a game, when you could have very well played that game yourself. Or maybe you do, maybe you play along with them. Some people do that with Let's Plays, but a lot of people just sit there and watch it. That's what they want to do. I want to look up a game that I don't own, or maybe I enjoy it. I'm going to see somebody else enjoy it. I look it up, and then there you go. Here we go. All of a sudden, I'm watching, 40 episodes of, I don't know. I wanted to say Call of Duty, but I was like, there's no way people make 40 episodes of Call of Duty. I was some big all-along RPG like Final Fantasy 7 or something. All of a sudden, I'm in episode 39 of Final Fantasy 7 Let's Play, And what really are you getting out of that? Especially a lot of Let's Players that just are kind of telling you the same thing a lot of the other people say. Again, we'll go into that a lot. Consuming content like that kind of encourages you. Okay, so I'm all over the place right now. I really should have honed in. I have bullet points that I wanted to talk about. I really should have honed in more on them and kind of listed them out better. But let's hone in on just what constant consumption of content like that does, right? So when you're constantly watching stuff like that, and you're also wanting to create content, what does that cause, right? It causes copycat behavior. So, and prime example is this, right? This whole thing is because I came across podcasting a long time ago. I got really into it, just listening to it. There's a wide variety of podcasts out there that you can listen to. Hey, and maybe this one is one of them. Not to toot my own horn just yet, but hey, I hope you guys can learn to like me. Even like a setup like this, where a show, this is all taken from inspiration from a lot of the other stuff that I've enjoyed and learned to like, right? And I kind of formulate my own identity from that, but it's still all copycat behavior. So, how do I learn to handle a mic properly? How do I learn to properly adjust the gain on it with a microphone like this that isn't a USB microphone? How do I learn all that? Well, let me look up how somebody else did it, and then I'll just copy that. That's how you learn, and then you learn more, you tweak it, and you kind of get your own personality from it. But it does encourage copycat behavior, whether that is good or bad. There are certain good aspects from that, like learning how to properly use equipment, learning how to properly stage stuff. Like, I have some studio lights set up that I had to research a lot on how lighting works, just to even get it so that it doesn't flush me out, even though I do kind of look a little flushed. I'm still messing with some of the settings on the cameras and things like that. There's a lot that goes into that, but watching content like that does help you. That is something that good copycat behaviors you can come from. But on the other end of the spectrum, there is the copycat behavior of making the same jokes as somebody else, or just outright stealing ideas from people. That happens all the time. Prime example, is, I mean, again, Let's Plays are a very prime example of that. A lot of people will Let's Play the same game, or they'll be inspired by somebody else to do a Let's Play of that game and stuff like that. That's copycat behavior that you should probably try to avoid. But there's like copycat behavior of pop culture, or current topic, things that people do. Say the current what was it, the Steven Crowder controversy that was on YouTube recently. How many YouTube videos have you seen of people complaining about that situation and the the Vox adpocalypse that has come out because of it, right? Tons of YouTube videos, right? There's a lot of people complaining about it. Do we really need 100 videos of that? No, we don't, okay? But those are some copycat behaviors you can avoid. But again, you can learn and you can kind of formulate your own ideas. Again, I lost track of what I was talking about originally. This is how bad I am at this right now. We'll get better. Trust me. I promise you that we will get better. And more specifically, the show will get better because I'll learn to do a lot. Learn to keep myself on topic and stuff like that, especially if I had somebody else here with me, which I do plan on doing. I do plan on having guests here and stuff like that, but if I have somebody else here, it'll help keep me on track. But when I'm by myself, my mouth moves faster than what is it? Brain moves faster than your mouth or something like that. You start to slur your words, which I probably have been doing, which is why I'm like, I need to slow down, pump the brakes, just, and we'll slow down a bit. So take some deep breaths and we'll get back into it. Okay. This isn't going to be a long show. This is probably only going to be around half hour. I'm aiming for an hour episodes, but I don't see that happening right now. So we'll eventually get to that. And, anyway, so I'd gotten into podcasts and that encouraged me to want to create my own podcast, which I had done a little while ago, a couple years ago. I started, and actually almost 2 years to this date, I had published my first episode. And yeah, I told you I wasn't going to talk about myself, right? Let's get back into the meat and potatoes. I'm going to put a pause on that. Put a bullet point down. We'll come back to that. Okay. We'll come back to that. I will tell you my background later. I am so sorry. I just realized that I was talking about myself rather than getting into the meat and potatoes. So again, one thing I did say earlier is that, you get a sense of satisfaction from completing a series, right? And that's kind of where I got to when I started to realize is I was watching a lot of people stream games and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, they finished the game. I really shouldn't move on to the next stream or, the next game, because if I move on to the next game with them, I'm going to sit there and I'm just going to watch it the whole way through or like interact with them. And that's not good, right? You don't want to keep doing that all the time. So that's why I said I need to stop. I need to just cut it out. I need to stop because it's causing me to be lazy. It's causing me to get more mad at myself for not pursuing the things that I wanted to do. Like I was getting mad at myself because I was like, I don't want to swear. I'm really trying to cut back on swearing too. I was getting mad at myself because I wanted to do this. I've been wanting to do this for a long time. I had done it before and I'd been wanting to relaunch this whole stuff into a brand new format and get things all redone. And every step of the way, I was like, I'm just not going to do it right now. Later, and I kept putting it off and putting it off. There's a lot of factors that go into that. Like there was a lot of it was due to my work schedule. I'd get home, I'd work overnights, and then I'd get home like really late at night, 4 a.m. I'm not going to record stuff at 4 a.m. I'm sorry, but a lot of that's changed. I'm also... A big realization came from I'm on vacation, right? I was on vacation. I'm still on vacation right now. And I have the time, right? I have all the time in the world to do what I want. And what was I doing? Nothing. I was watching TV and playing video games, I was just I was wasting all the potential that I had, right? I had to stop. I had to stop wasting potential. And you need to take that potential and you need to act on it, okay? This is where I'm going to start telling you what things that you can do, right? First of all, just if you're like me and you can't handle having that stuff on while you're doing things, just turn it off, all right? Just cut it out, because it really is going to help you actually feel more motivated and stuff like that. Like this art and stuff and some of these things that I've set up with the cameras and stuff like that, I wouldn't have been able to set any of that up if I just sat there and watched TV, because I actively lose not inspiration but motivation while that stuff's happening. I had to cut it out. So that should be your first goal. If you feel like you're stuck in a rut and you can't get out of it, you don't know what to do, just cut it out. Just cut all of it out and just start doing something that will help you get towards what you want to do. So for me, it was getting some art done, right? Getting art done kind of helped push me more towards that, right? And then it became, this was originally a corner desk. Let me take the top part off of this corner desk and move it so that I'm not staring into a corner all the time. I'm actually staring into my room now. I get to enjoy my space fully. I can look into my space and look at all my things, and it actually kind of helps me feel like I'm not just some weirdo that's more essentially, this is going to look bad on the video, but more essentially doing this, that looks bad. Somebody is, that doesn't look like it doesn't look like something fun, right? It looks like work, right? It shouldn't look like work. It should look like fun, because that's what you want to do, right? What you want to do should be fun and entertaining for you. Otherwise, what's the point, right? Isn't that what your hobby is? Aren't hobbies supposed to be fun? So make it fun for you. Make it so that you will feel comfortable, inspired, and feel like you want to make what it is that you want to make, right? Now, another thing that obviously is kind of come out of this is like, well, if I'm preaching so badly about content and how consuming content like that can actually be a negative influence on you, I'm going to let you know right now, me making this is obvious that it's like, aren't you kind of contradicting yourself? And it's like, well, yes, more or less, right? This is, like I said, this isn't a self-help. This is more of me. Like, the show is about the things that I like, right? And the things that I want to share with you all. I want you all to be a part of it. I want you all to be a part of the show just as much as I'm part of the show, right? Having a community to can kind of bounce things off of, discuss things with, that's actually fun. That actually more or less helps people kind of communicate. And that's why there's a good and a bad. I didn't really explain that very well, right? There's a yin and a yang of content creation, right? There's the good content and then there's the bad content. Just like you get good behaviors from consuming content, and you get bad behaviors. Bad behaviors obviously being lazy, unmotivated, constant consumption of it. But good behaviors, like you learn things and you understand more of a lot of things that you're interested in, right? It's just kind of like going to school, right? You don't go to school because, obviously you go to school because you kind of have to up until a certain point. But after that, when you're pursuing knowledge and things like that, that's on you. Like, you want to pursue that. So why not pick up the good things from that, right? So there's not everything is bad. There is some good that comes out. There's also the fact that it's obvious sour grapes, right? And so the concept of sour grapes is like, where you're just kind of jealous of all these other people. So, and to more or less, it's like, well, yeah, of course I'm going to be jealous of other people that have bigger, channels or anything like that. And that's not the point though, right? The point is I'm doing it because I want to do it. And I want you all to do the things that you want to do. So that's kind of how, I guess I'm kind of repeating myself at this point. So I think I've kind of gotten more or less of what it does, what constant consumption of content. Actually, and I keep saying content like it's a big demonic word, right? It's not. So, but there is some aspects of it that you should watch out for, right? And things that you need to learn to keep an eye on. Anyway, so I think, like I said, I'm kind of repeating myself at this point. So I think that's all I really have to say as far as it comes to the warning signs and what things you need to look out for, and how YouTube and other streaming services are kind of ruining your own creativity. I hope you guys see this and get inspired to do things on your own, and will come to the realization that, like, yeah, maybe I am. And if I don't, obviously I'm going to go back and watch this before I even publish it. But if I don't see if I might re-record it. But I think I've gotten all that I need to do. So if that's all you came for, then, you're free to go. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. Now, and the rest of you that are more interested in me and the show, you're more than welcome to stick around, and we'll hang out a little bit longer. So, just to give you an idea of what the show is, like I said, the show is just my show is just another Neckbeards podcast, right? There'll be other stuff on the channel, but this is more of the meat that I want to do. This is a lot of the big stuff, like the main thing that I want to do, which is this show. And obviously, just another, why am I calling myself a neckbeard, first of all? And why, I'm just another neckbeard. Why am I calling myself that? That's obviously a very negative connotation. It's more or less like kind of a silly thing, that a way to describe me. First of all, because you might not notice, but because I try to shave a lot more, but I actually have very, very poor facial hair. So I try to shave it because it's actually very, it's not a good look. I'm sorry, but I like a lot of nerdy stuff. Okay, I grew up on Star Wars and video games and all this other stuff. I like anime. I'm not a big anime guy anymore, but I was really big into it at one point. I still watch it every now and then, but there's a lot of anime that's a little too ooh, I don't know if I like that anymore, but we'll talk about some of that stuff. I obviously I like video games. I've mentioned that a little bit, and I even just mentioned it earlier, so I don't know, I repeated myself again. We're working on it, okay? We'll get there, I promise you. I always do that when I get nervous. I just start laughing because I don't know how to handle it. So, and my breathing's getting all messed up again. Heart, just calm down, take it easy. Need to slow my talking down a little bit. Start rambling. I gotta help on it. We'll get going. I'm not a pro at this. I really want to try. Again, I want to entertain you guys. I want you guys to laugh. I want to make you guys laugh. This isn't a very funny episode. This is more of a, serious and hey, let's take things a little, seriously, but we'll have some funny stuff, that I think I can make you guys laugh. I hope I can. That's my goal. If you guys laugh, if you guys have a chuckle out of this, hey, I will be more than happy to take that laugh. That's what I want. That's what I want you guys to do. And again, I've done this a little bit before. So I mentioned it a little while ago. There was something I put a bullet point in, and I think this is what I was meant to talk about. So I've done podcasts a couple years ago. I got really into podcasting, and that's what, or really listening to them. And I started it was a new concept for me. I never listened to them before. So I started listening to more and more of them. And I was like, wow, this is actually a really fun way to, more or less get your voice out there, get your own personality on a more audio format, and, just kind of communicate with people without, if you don't, I don't know. It was just, it was a foreign concept. I saw it, and there was also a lot of there's a lot of really bad podcasts out there. This might be one of them. Who knows? Hey, like I said, we're going to work on it. We'll get things going. But there's a lot of bad podcasts out there, and it's like you listen to them and you go, "Oh, I could totally do that." And there was one in particular I listened to, and I was like, "Oh, I could podcast. This will be easy." So my first podcast failed, failed pretty bad. Not because, well, there was obviously a low viewership, and I'd only published on YouTube. I didn't put it on any other format. That was probably mistake number one. YouTube doesn't really like audio only format unless it's a song. If it's a song, audio only formats can kind of work, but for the most part, like podcasts don't really do that well, and that's why I got cameras and changed it to a video format, because that was number one for the relaunch that I wanted to do. Now, my original podcast wasn't called Just Another Neckbeards Podcast. It was called something completely different. It was called Nerd Out. Those episodes are all gone. I wiped them because the audio quality was bad. It was it was bad. We're not going back to that. Sorry. If you were somebody that was lucky enough to tune in those old episodes, please erase them from your memory, because those were not good. I listened to them. I re-listened to them recently, and I couldn't make it through about 10 minutes through each of them. And one in particular was actually pretty good. But in the sense of just deleting all of them, I just deleted all of them anyway. But the rest of them were kind of bad. Started off horribly. I didn't have an intro. Didn't have anything. Like, again, I don't script any of the stuff. I didn't script any of the stuff. I did bring up bullet points, but like a lot of the stuff that I had done before, I barely planned for any of them. It was just poor. Very poor planning on my part. Again, stuff didn't do very well. Got maybe about 12, 10 to 12 viewers if I was lucky on each of them. So there just wasn't very good. I even tried to do relevant topics. I got about 8 episodes that I published. I recorded about 12, and I published 8 of them. And that was just, basically I'd done it for almost 8 months. I'd done it for about 8 months. So it was like 1 episode a month. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. There was no growth coming out of it. I had 0 comments on all of my videos. And just, there wasn't anything coming out of it. So I'm done. I gave up on it. And I really wish I hadn't given up on it and kind of just changed things to the way I'm doing it now, because I think this is a much better format. But again, audio quality was bad. There was not a lot of really consistent speaking, I guess. There was a very inconsistent sound with the audio. Is very inconsistent in terms of, much like how a lot of this, when I'm talking by myself, I ramble. I ramble on and on and on, because I feel like on an audio format there has to be constant audio coming through. Man, that's probably why I talk so fast. Man, you know what? Learning things right on the spot. That's why I'm like, I could probably slow down a bit. I'm very sorry. I just peeked that. Very, very sorry about that. Anyway, so the audio quality was, I rambled a lot, and I just wasn't very consistent with the way I talked. And, even starting an introduction and ending it, I couldn't do that. Like I was like, I'd listen to bad podcasts, and I was like, oh, I could totally do that. And then I made a bad podcast. So I don't know what I was thinking that was so easy about it. It's like, there's a lot more that goes into making good content than just sitting on your ass and doing stuff. You have to actually put in the effort, right? Going back to creating content, hey, we got to go back to the subject at some point. You have to put in the effort, right? You can't just expect things to happen. You have to put in the effort for stuff. And that's why I'm trying to put in a lot of effort for this. Not so much as far as, I'm probably not going to edit too much of this, if at all, because I'm not a very good video editor, and I hate jump cuts. I'm sorry, but I hate jump cuts. So there's not going to be, like, I just want to get better at consistently doing it, much like a radio show. You know how radio DJs are very confident in themselves. You can hear the confidence in their voice. They know what they're talking about. They don't they don't stammer on when they're talking, much like I am with my ums and stuff like that. Those will go away over time, and we'll learn as we go. But that's more or less what I want to bring myself up to do. Like, that's the quality that I want to bring to you guys. And there are a lot of podcasts that do provide quality like that I have listened to, and that's kind of the stuff that I try to emulate off of in terms of the way that I speak and the way I handle the mic. I will keep myself so that I'm not, losing a lot of audio quality and then it comes back. I don't want to do that. So that's more or less as far as this show is gonna kind of progress to, right? That's what I wanted to progress it to. I'm talking a lot about the show now. We're at 35 minutes, and I've spent about 20 of it on, maybe 25 on the actual subject, and the rest of it now I've just been talking about myself. So I think I'm gonna wrap things up, right? I'm over. Again, I'm sorry about that. I'm over what I wanted to really kind of limit myself to. I didn't want to put a full hours into this because I wanted to keep it kind of short. But, 35 minutes, we're already over what I wanted to do. So let's wrap things up. We'll move on. And, you guys can catch the next episode when it comes out, which I'm probably going to release 2 or 3 at once. Not really 100% on that yet. I might put this one out there just to test it, see how people think of it, and then maybe relaunch it at a different time. We'll see. I don't know why I'm telling you all this. You'll see it when it happens. So let's finish things up. I'll finish giving you guys a little rundown of me. I'm about I play video games and stuff like that. So what we're going to talk about a lot on this show is really just a lot of things that I want to talk about. So we're probably going to talk a few about video game, game design, or, just some particular games that we like to talk about. We'll probably talk about some shows that I like to talk about movies, things, a lot of nerdy stuff, right? There's a lot of nerdy podcasts out there. This is probably going to be one of them, but there's going to be times where you'll see other stuff as well. Like, I have other shows planned. I have shows not even centered around anything nerdy at all. Just let me see. Let me go. I'll give you an idea of some of the lists that I have for concepts for the show. Like, let's see. I have an idea for talking about being a 90s kid. I think that'd be pretty funny. Have a guest here. We'll talk about what it was like growing up in the 90s. Let's see. Talking about bad pizza. Yeah, that'll be a fun one. Probably not. I might actually not even do that. Talking about building PCs. That's a little nerdy. That's I don't know. That's a little nerdy stuff. Let's see. Lady selling. Oh, I totally forgot about this one. I totally forgot it. I remembered this a long time ago. I'm not going to give this one away because that's actually like, holy shit. That's going to take a lot of planning, and I don't want to give that one away just yet. But we'll talk, we're going to talk mostly going to talk about a lot of the stuff that I want to talk about, but there will be some planned stuff. You'll see it when it comes out. Oh my God. I really need to stop saying that. We'll see it when it comes out. I already sound like an idiot. Anyway, let's finish up. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you all have a wonderful evening, wonderful day, whenever you catch it. Just thanks for tuning in. Please, I can't say please enough. Please tell me what you think. Likes, dislikes, I don't care. I just want feedback. I want to know if the sound sounds good, the video is good. I want to know if it's bad. I want to know if I sound like an idiot, which that'd probably be the number one thing that you say, is I sound like an idiot. I know. I'm aware. Hopefully that changes. I'm very confident that I can change that over time as I do this more, and as things get more. Obviously, the setup is going to change more. We're going to get more things to get up there. There'll be a lot more interesting things for y'all. And again, I just want feedback. So if you give me feedback, that is more appreciative than anything else you could do. So thank you if you do give me feedback. Otherwise, have an amazing day, and I'll catch you on the next episode.